Tone. Today I'm here with Carl Pickhardt, Ph.D., a psychologist with 25 years' experience and the author of Why Good Kids Act Cruel. Hi, Carl.
Hi, good to be with you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So can you say a little bit about why kids these days, and I wonder if it's a fairly recent phenomena, why they tend to be mean to each other, especially during the middle school years?
Yeah, what happens is that somewhere around 9 to 13, kids enter early adolescence. And at that point, what they do is they separate from childhood. They no longer want to be treated and be defined as a child anymore, but they don't know how they do want to be, so they're insecure in some ways that they were not before. Mm-hmm. Now they're insecure just as a function of no longer wanting to be a child. Now there's more friction in the family because they're pushing against and pulling away from parents to some degree, and there's more friction. And now what also happens is that they want to be more socially independent, and that means two things. Most parents understand the early adolescent's desire for social independence as being socially independent of them, but that's just half the story. The other half of the story is to set up an independent social world of peers in which they can find a place for themselves, create a second family for themselves where they feel they can belong as they are more estranged from childhood and family. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that all these young people, and pretty much by the time you hit middle school, almost all these kids are now in early adolescence. They're all developmentally insecure. They're all striving for social place to compensate for the insecurity they feel. And in the course of that, what happens is that they can be mean to each other in the 5 ways that I described. They can tease each other and exclude each other and bully and rumor and gang up on each other. Mm-hmm. And these are good kids, but these are good kids treating each other meanly in service of trying to secure some kind of social place for themselves.
Okay, interesting. Now, does this get better as they get older? I assume it does.
The answer is yes and no. It gets better in this way. If you contrast a 6th grader to an 8th grader, what you will find on the positive side of things is that the 6th graders tend to be much more insecure about who and how they are because they've done the separation, but they haven't consolidated any kind of new definition for themselves. By 8th grade, most kids have consolidated more of a definition for themselves, and they are less insecure. However, what happens on the downside is that there is a window of social influence at this point for salient adults, particularly at school, to take about helping kids learn how to treat each other well and not badly. Mm-hmm. And if, in fact, that is not done, kids can get into, bad habits in terms of treating each other, and, in fact, it will continue all the way up through high school.
Okay.
So there needs to be an intervention.
Right. Can you say a little bit about the role of sports in all this? Because obviously sports can be one place where they can find that social independence.
Well, I guess in terms of in sports, I guess a couple of things. One, in sports, the salient adult in the sports situation is the coach. Mm-hmm. Coaches have enormous amount of influence with kids because in most cases those kids want to be there. Mm-hmm. It's very different from the classroom where they may not want to be there.
Right.
So the coach can, in fact, say, on my team, this is how we're going to communicate with each other, and this is how we're going to treat each other, and, the following kinds of behaviors are not acceptable. If, however, that kind of leadership is not exerted, then, in fact, the social cruelty can happen on the team because, then kids are, they're still striving for social place with each other, and those behaviors can enter in there.
Okay, and that makes sense. So it's really important in sports especially, then, for these adult role models to step up to the plate.
Yeah, the worst case that I see, Lisa, is where you have coaches that essentially are socially cruel to the kids and they model that behavior. Mm-hmm. They tease and they bully and they humiliate in order to, quote, motivate these kids and manage these kids. And when that happens, it really makes things much worse for the kids.
Do you want to learn more about how to help kids overcome bullying in sports? Visit Youth Sports Psychology at www.youthsportspsychology.com. sportspsychology.com. Find out more about our new program, helping young athletes stay confident and mentally tough in the face of bullies, due to be released the week of May 24th.